Hey there, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Michelle, and if this is the first time you are listening, welcome. I'm so happy you are here, and you are in for a treat today because today I have on the show Dr. Beth Bartlett, who is a natural medicine practitioner, and she is just amazing and such a wonderful person. So I want to tell you a little bit about her. Let me just go ahead and read her bio. Dr. Beth holds a Doctor of Chiropractic degree from the National College of Chiropractic in Lombard, Illinois. Most recently, Dr. Beth completed her functional medicine certification in April 2019 from the Institute of Functional Medicine. As a natural medicine practitioner, she focuses on chronic disease prevention and management, using nutritional recommendations and holistic remedies to balance body chemistry. Dr. Beth wholeheartedly believes in empowering patients for success and total health transformation. Dr. Beth also uses the Shape Reclaimed anti-inflammatory program in her practice, and we will be talking about Shape on this episode. So this might be a great time to have your Shape questions answered. I am so happy to have Dr. Beth on the show today, so grab your cup of coffee or herbal tea and get settled in. Are you a Christian midlifer who has been searching for answers on how to just feel better? Are you experiencing mental and physical fatigue, ongoing pain, and trouble sleeping? Or lately, have you been Googling brain fog and weight gain? Boy, do I understand all of that. Listen, friend, I want you to know that there is freedom in your whole health, and it's not worldly freedom either. In this podcast, there is biblical freedom for you through holistic health solutions and godly support, which will then transform your mind, body, soul, and spirit and help you find this freedom at midlife. Hi, I'm Michelle McCoy, and as a holistic and functional health coach, I have realized the answer is in partnering your faith with holistic solutions and a heck of a lot of discipline, intentionality, and commitment to changing your life at midlife. So are you ready to feel better in this new season of life? If so, I will be right here each Tuesday and Friday to help you along. If you're ready for breakthrough action and restoration, it's time to treasure your wellness. Hi, Dr. Beth. I am so happy to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining the show. And I'm so excited to share you with my listeners and just to really get into all the details of all the wonderful stuff we're going to talk about today. You are such a wealth of information, and I just love talking to you and picking your brain and as we talk about all things health. So
yes,
welcome to the show.
I love it. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. So I would love for you just to take a few seconds to share a little bit about yourself and what brought you to more of the functional medicine. What made you interested in functional medicine?
Yeah. So my background, my training is in chiropractic. And I went to National College of Chiropractic in Lombard, Illinois. And the focus there really was primary care and about diagnosis. Yes, we learned how to adjust, chiropractically and all of that goodness. But we also learned how to draw blood, how to do male and female physical sensitive exams, and just were trained, all across the board. So that really appealed to me, and that's something that I wanted to carry forward. When I first started out in practice, I bought a primarily musculoskeletal practice in Lisle, Illinois, and I was there for about 8 years. And then I actually heard about Shape and the Shape Reclaim program. And one of my really good friends was doing it. And she said, you really ought to check this out and, incorporate it into what you're doing. And so I really just started from ground zero there. And I started as a Shape practitioner and just kind of grassroots. I mean, everybody that came in knew they were doing Shape, and that was that. And I just kind of built off of that, meaning, I started learning about different supplements, different modalities, and things like that. And I remember my Apex Energetics account rep in, I think, the in July of 2017, she invited me to IFM's hormone module, which was in Chicago at the time. And so on her, completely free of charge. And so I got to see about what the Institute for Functional Medicine was about and the organization. And I was like, after that 2.5 day weekend, I was just like, I was all in. And so I was like, I've got to do this. I've got to do the whole thing and become a certified practitioner. And I did. And that, has been just a wonderful journey. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Once you get a taste of functional medicine, you can't go back, right? You just can't, because it's the best of both worlds. You're blending what you learned conventionally with a holistic way of living, and the outcome is so much better. So how could we ever go back once we know what we know?
Absolutely. That is so true.
So for those that don't understand what the Shape Reclaim program is, can you give a little bit of information about that?
Yes, for sure. It is really based on, I tell new patients, it's based on inflammation and ridding the body of inflammation. And yes, you are going to lose, some weight in the process. But I say that, shape incorporates the brain in the whole process of decreasing inflammation, increasing immune function, and just kind of teaching you how to live a better life for no uncertain terms, or, at least cooking and preparing meals. And, I have patients that say, well, I don't have time to meal prep and whatnot and this. And I just say, you know what, shape done about 10% is better than shape done not at all. So I've just had so many word of mouth referrals and things like that. It's just a great program to keep, striving for, keep trying to follow, because, nobody's going to be 100%. There's just no, I can't do it. You can't do it. It's just there's no such thing. But striving for certain things, and just keep on learning, keep on improving yourself. I think that's the key. So
I agree. And there is no perfection, right? There's only progress,
Mm-hmm.
So, consistent, intentional progress, action. I mean, it's all good. Your body will benefit. And this is what I love so much about Shape, is that it does affect us on the cellular level. And so the brain benefits that we get are life-changing, really. I mean, they're life-changing. And, one of my favorite client testimonials, for lack of a better way to explain it, is she said, I feel like the lights have been turned on for the first time in years. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about the brain fog, that constant brain fog that, most women tend to be dragging around with them, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is at the root, that's inflammation, right? So, we are struggling with inflammation. And I would even say women in midlife specifically are struggling with inflammation, because we're struggling with our hormones. We're trying to figure all of that out. We're in the midst of it. Maybe we've spent all of our lives focusing on our family, our kids, our, our job, our career. And, meanwhile, our own health is suffering. And so it's like a perfect storm. And then for some of my clients, and myself included, your kids move out, you're an empty nester all of a sudden, and here you are, and you feel like total crap, and you don't know what to do about it. Yes. So it's just so interesting. So I wanted you to speak about, how does inflammation specifically affect women's hormones?
So I think, first of all, I think we're all inflamed, regardless. I mean, you can't be living in today's environment, without being inflamed. But I think, as you said, this time of the year, a lot of women in specific are struggling with kids, going back to school or leaving for the workforce, or whatever it might be. And that stress level is just so high. in terms of, things going on at home, things going on in the world. And then, people I feel like are really bogged down by these things. And the body is just being forced to handle it. And sometimes, you talk about maladaptation to stress. I think that is the basis, for inflammation in general, and how the body, what body part takes the hit, so to speak. Is it going to be your pancreas and type 2 diabetes? Is it going to be, your brain and dementia? The list goes on. But if we don't interrupt that constant cycle, I go back to my list there. Cortisol, the increase in stress. Are you shunting everything to producing cortisol, and none of your other hormones are being made, which I see quite often? It is just so individualized and so specific, which I think is what makes functional medicine. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It is bioindividuality is what, the SHAPE program is really kind of based on, but looking at each person and asking, not what's wrong, but what's not right. So
yeah, I agree completely. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we ask the wrong question because we don't know any better. And so that kind of brings me to, let's say, we go to the doctor, we get our regular lab work done. It comes back normal. I'm starting to really struggle with that word, normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is normal?
There's nothing normal about feeling like crap.
Right.
And I get so frustrated when women come to me and they're like, well, my labs are normal, but I still feel horrible. And they just want to recheck my labs in 6 months, 9 months, a year.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to do in the meantime? I still feel horrible. So no mention of lifestyle changes, no dietary changes mentioned, no supplementation mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real struggle. But can you talk about what would be a good blood work baseline for women to ask for? I know, and this is a whole other conversation, but insurance companies will dictate what doctors can order. And I just went round and round and round with my own doctor's office recently about this. And I'm like, I will pay out of pocket. Mm-hmm. I'm asking for these labs. I don't care about the insurance company. Mm-hmm. And so what would be the baseline, a very baseline that may or may not be brought up by their doctor that they can ask for when they are dealing with hormonal issues or just overall women in midlife?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of piggybacking off your statement there about insurance companies. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Ulta lab tests. It gives a percentage off, and I can actually order, forget about insurance. It's a cash, but I can order what I want to see, and patients pay generally between $150 and $200. And so wherever, it doesn't matter where they are, I put the order through on the computer and I see what I want to see. And it's, in my opinion, not breaking the bank. That being said, we still can definitely order lab work through LabCorp, Quest, things like that. But I generally say CBC with differential, complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, which is going to give us a look at glucose and kidney function, liver enzymes, electrolytes, a few things along those lines. I like to look at something called HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which is a really kind of a marker for overall inflammation in the body, just in general. It's more specific, in my opinion, than something called SED rate, which I know a lot of practitioners like to run.
Yeah.
I like to throw in fasting insulin level because, I look for blood sugar regulation issues. Like I look at hemoglobin A1C, I look at glucose, I look at triglycerides, but sometimes you can kind of get a tip from the fasting insulin level. Is the body trending toward blood sugar dysregulation or prediabetes, that type of thing? So I also like to look at homocysteine. which is a marker. It tells us a little bit about the methylation cycle, the detoxification cycle in the body, and it's a marker for cardiovascular risk as well. So I like to look at homocysteine, vitamin D, of course. Those are kind of the heavy hitters. If somebody's struggling with anemia, looking at iron, ferritin, transferrin, iron binding capacity. As far as hormones go, well, actually, let me go back to thyroid. How could I forget about this? A lot of practitioners only look at thyroid. I know you've probably heard this before, but thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, and free T4, and that's it. There
Yep.
are about 8 other markers that we need to look at because that isn't telling the full story.
Right.
So as far as antibody level, or the antibody level and autoimmune Hashimoto's, that type of thing, we need those other markers to see where the true problem is. So thyroid, if that is a concern. I like to look at hormones via, I mean, it depends what I'm looking for, but I love the Dutch test. And it stands, yes. Yep.
Me too. I love that. It is
Yes.
so comprehensive. I mean, that's in the name, right? It's the
Yes.
dried urine comprehensive test for hormones, and
Yes.
it's really crazy how you get such a great clear picture from the Dutch that finally it's like a light bulb moment. Like you're like, yes, finally this explains why I've been feeling the way I've been feeling. And it's almost like that amazing validation. When we know what we are dealing with, we can handle it so much better. It's the not knowing. I agree 100%. The Dutch is a must in midlife for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the picture it paints, like you said, looking at cortisol and DHEA, and is that cortisol getting into the tissues, and what, the inactive form of cortisone, what is that level, and all the metabolites it gives you. If you've got, if I have a patient and their mom has had female cancer, I say, you know what, let's do Dutch. Let's do it just to see the metabolites, and the estrogen metabolites. Is the body breaking it down as it should, or does it need some extra help in doing so? Or is my cortisol so high that, again, I'm not producing any other hormones? So again, like the thyroid, it depends where the issue is, how we go about treating that issue. So
yeah, it's so beautiful, all of the freedom that we actually do have, because we can order our own labs online. I use a different lab company where I order labs online too, and it's just so much easier, to cut out the middleman, and you are in control. You can take back your health. You are in control. You're your best advocate for your health. And once we get that clear picture, like I said earlier, we know what to do with it, or we know who we can go to, right? We could go to Dr. Beth, and we can say, help us to interpret these labs that I don't understand. Because here's the other thing. Sometimes we could get a complete marker with the Dutch hormone test, and we take it to our primary care physician, and they don't know how to read it. They Absolutely. Have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
I've actually brought up the word Dutch, and I had the blank stare. So it's just interesting to me. And Dutch is just one of the amazing hormone tests that, we can do. I think it's a gold standard for sure, because it paints the best picture.
Right.
But there's, saliva testing, there's the RT, there's a bunch of different ones.
It depends what you're looking for. Right.
Exactly. You're right. And, especially with adrenal fatigue and all of that, you do want to be digging deeper. When I had my Dutch test, I had no cortisol. I had no testosterone. I was below the lowest of the line. Wow. So that explained a lot in my health, I'll tell you.
Right. Absolutely.
But if I hadn't done the Dutch test, I would never have known that, because it doesn't necessarily show up in the blood. That's a whole other conversation that I would love to have you back for sure. But can you, switching gears a little bit off of the lab test, can you speak about the different ways that inflammation affects us, not only physically, but mentally, like the brain and the body as well?
Yeah, one of the first questions I ask patients when they come in is, how is your sleep? And a lot of people, just don't even think, how are your bowel habits? How is your sleep? Those are two big questions that we could spend the whole time on, right? So,
Sure.
but because, if you're not sleeping, you're inflamed, your brain is inflamed, and which causes your rest of your body to be inflamed, and so on and so forth. And I just think that, as I mentioned before, the big things, the type 2 diabetes and dementia, Alzheimer's, and irritable bowel syndrome. I mean, those are obvious things, but if you've got gas and bloating, or you have sinus drainage, or you've got some lung congestion, that's inflammation, right? And so I think people don't really realize that what that is, and what that means, and that they don't need to wait until it's an issue that shows up in your blood work, right? We're trying to be preventive, we're trying to be proactive, and that's why we put tighter parameters on our blood work numbers. Is, if you come in and say, well, hey, I all my markers are normal again, sometimes I always ask, can I please see a copy, because I want to put my parameters on it and be a little bit more nitpicky and critiquey. And so that's just kind of the way I approach things. And a question I had the other day was, can a well person come and see you? Well, absolutely, because I'm going to try to pick them apart. Not that they're not well, right? But that, I want them to be the best version of themselves and be proactive, preventive, and so forth. So yeah.
I agree. I say all the time, let's be proactive now so we don't have to be reactive later.
Mm-hmm.
And, we are striving for that optimal health, right? I mean, I don't believe that God intends for his daughters to be sad, sick, and stagnant or stuck in their health.
Mm-hmm.
And that encompasses the mind, body, soul, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So he has given us everything on this earth to use for our good and for his glory. But it's up to us to find that. It's up to us to learn and to educate ourselves on that. And that's why it's so amazing that we have these wonderful functional and holistic practitioners like yourself, because it's a lot. It's a lot of information, and it's very, very overwhelming.
Oh,
and it can be overwhelming. So
sure.
Yes, a well person will always benefit from making healthier lifestyle changes, for digging deeper and getting to the root cause of something. I mean, you could feel like you are doing great. You have all this energy and everything, but you're only getting 4 hours of sleep a night. That over time is going to affect you. It's going to affect your brain for sure. So, making these small switches, these small healthier habits, so that they become a healthy habit, before you know it, like water, for example. Like, my big thing is water before coffee. Everybody needs to be drinking water before coffee. First thing in the morning. That is hydrating. It's not dehydrating. We are dehydrated from sleeping all night. So just making little tiny changes every day until you know it, it's a healthy habit, and you don't even have to think about it.
Absolutely. Small changes over time. So many of my patients come in and they're so focused on, I want to lose 10 to 15 pounds before such and such's wedding in October. And I'm like, okay, well, we can probably do that, but I want you to look big picture here. So, it's learning to dance with everybody, because everybody's going to dance differently, right? So that just staying in step with who's sitting in front of you is always and listening, right? So I think that's one of the main things. So
I agree, because like you said earlier, we are all bio-individual. We have that wonderful bio-individuality that God has given each one of us, because we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So one person's food can be another person's poison and vice versa. Same with working out, like it's not one size fits all. None of this is one size fits all. And so by the time we have reached midlife, it's time to just kind of throw everything out the window that we've learned about health and nutrition and dieting and exercising, and start fresh and finally like reclaim our health and take back control over our health, right? And just know that and be confident, like you can be your own best advocate. You can absolutely. You don't have to be dictated to by the pharmaceutical companies, by the insurance companies, by your doctor. If you don't like your doctor, find a different one. If you're not getting the help you need, find a functional practitioner like yourself. And so I love that. I think that we definitely could talk for another hour on the subject because it's so important. I mean, it really is so vital.
Sure. The food pyramid is no more.
Yeah. And I love what you said. You said, instead of asking what's wrong, ask what's not right. And that's so true because, again, go back to that healthy person. They feel like they're healthy, but still something's not right. Something's off. So I love that. Digging deep, getting to the root cause, that's what functional medicine is all about. So yeah, I would love to have you back and we can just kind of dig deeper into some other things like traditional Chinese medicine. I would love to talk about that at another time and just kind of go deeper into some of the modalities that you use. But if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of put you in the hot seat a little bit. Can you share what is your favorite? It's okay. What is your favorite decadent dessert? Like, do you have one? Like, do you have like a not so guilty pleasure maybe?
Oh gosh, I really like, I like using almond flour in either brownies, and I may put a little cocoa powder in there. And there's some really good maple syrup that we get from Costco, actually, that is just fabulous. And so I would have to say that is a really one of my favorites. And the other one is called a 9-egg cake. 9 eggs.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of a layer cake. And so, you get out your, oh gosh, what are those expanding pans called? I want to say styrofoam pan, but that's not it, but spring foam. Thank you.
Spring foam. Yeah. I was thinking too.
Thank you. And so make a couple of those, and it's almost like eating angel food cake. And so again, a little bit of almond flour and some eggs in there. And so yeah, that's a couple of my favorites.
Okay, so I need you now to send me that recipe.
Oh gosh, I will try. I will do it.
That sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much. You're my kind of girl, talkaholic all the way. I love it.
That's right.
Where can our viewers and listeners find you?
So my website is drbethbartlett.com, and just all one word, all spelled out, no hyphens or anything like that. And I do have some social media pages. My Facebook, I have a page that's called Dr. Beth Bartlett Holistic Health, which is the name of my practice. And my Instagram tag is drbeth.b. So those are some just different ways. And of course, my email and my phone number, drbethbartlett1@gmail.com. And my telephone number as well, 630-699-5714. So I text and or talk on that number.
Wonderful. That's incredible. Well, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure and such an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you, Michelle.
I would love to have you back at another time and we can dig even deeper.
I would love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. We'll talk soon.
All right. You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. I hope you enjoyed today's show with Dr. Beth. And I hope you were able to glean a little bit of information, maybe a little bit more information about the Shape Reclaimed anti-inflammatory program. And if you are interested in learning more about how you can reduce the inflammation in your body and gain energy in a natural way, reach out to either Dr. Beth or myself, and you can find out more about the Shape Reclaimed anti-inflammatory program on my website, treasuredwellness.com. Let me close us out in prayer. Lord, we thank you so much for this time together, and we ask that you would give us wisdom in each of our own unique health journeys, and that you would open our eyes to see and our ears to hear what you would have for us to learn. I pray that you would bring your blessings upon each woman listening, and we just thank you so much, Lord, in advance. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, I will see you guys Friday, and remember, you are a beautiful treasure.